On January 1st, 2012, adequate notice of this meeting pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act has been furnished by inclusion thereof in the annual schedule of meetings for 2012, which has been posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, filed with the Borough Clerk, attached to the Our Town, the Record of the Community News, and the County Seat newspapers, and distributed to all persons, if any, requesting copies of same pursuant to said act. In case of an emergency or fire alarm, you must evacuate the building by using any of the exit doors in the room. They're immediately to my right, and the double doors at the rear of the room. Occupants must exit the building by using the staircase and not the elevator. This meeting is being recorded by both video and audio and may be rebroadcast.
Everybody please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mayor Padavano.
Here.
Council members Savage.
Here.
Fleischman.
Here.
Oriema. Here. Fabre.
Here.
Ballerini is absent. Meglio is absent. Borough Attorney Ronald Daria.
Here.
Borough Clerk Jean Pellegrin is here. Borough Administrator Roberta Stern.
Here.
Before we get to the items on the agenda, we are very fortunate this evening to have with us State Senator Bob Gordon and Assemblywoman Wagner and our new Assemblyman, former Mayor Eustace. If you would like to come up and say a few words, that would be great. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Or would you prefer me to use this one?
I think the clerk's going to help you out.
Okay.
Should make sure you sing in key.
Everybody now? Just do this here. The state's not giving you batteries anymore?
Well, that's why you're here tonight.
2% with cap, remember.
I know the big check is in there somewhere.
Great, thank you very much. Mayor, members of the council, thank you very much for making some time for us, because I know this was kind of a last-minute addition to the agenda. We are attending work sessions in all of our new towns. As you may know, we have 8 new towns in District 38. We want to meet with the mayors and council members in those towns to just introduce you to the services we offer. But most importantly, we want to learn about any key issues that you're facing now that may require action in Trenton, because we want to be your partner. We want to facilitate finding solutions to these problems. We want you to know that when you're applying for grants of any kind, that you should be letting our offices know so that we can monitor the status of those applications and see what we can do to try to get them to the top of the pile. And we want to assist you in any way we can. I don't have to tell you how difficult the fiscal situation is for municipalities and the state, for that matter. It's not going to be getting any better. And I know we all understand that we have to work together to try to address these issues. I'm pleased to bring with me Assemblywoman Connie Wagner and someone you know very well, Assemblyman Tim Eustace. I also have with me Emily Cantillo, who serves our 3 offices. She is the Director of Community Outreach. If you can't reach any of us, Emily is the person to contact. Her responsibility is monitoring the issues in all of the communities and serving as a liaison with municipal government. So we wanted to...
fan of your father's.
And she is...
I'm an attorney, I have to say.
And I would just point out that her grandfather was the state senator in District 38, so she has a distinguished bloodline. In any case, we would welcome any information you care to share with us this evening.
Well, thank you very much, certainly on behalf of Council Borough, for being here. I think Maywood's in a very unique situation, because who better that knows the troubles of Maywood than our former mayor, who is obviously working very hard for the state, and I'm sure not forgetting the troubles that he left behind, and is very well aware of where we are in Maywood. So I am sure that unless anybody has a comment, we will be reaching out to all three of you in the future to help us in these tough economic times. Shared services and all that is very much on our minds. And the state can help move and free up the ability for municipalities to share certain services. I know that when he was mayor, was working very hard on trying to get detective agencies in between municipalities to work together. And I think that's something that maybe needs to be helped out with on the state level and things of that nature.
Should I take a moment?
Yeah, sure.
I want to say something, too.
One of the things that I was asked by the people of Maywood if they were going to send me to Trenton is to make sure that I brought back money to the Borough of Maywood. And I am happy to say that for our district, we're able to bring clean community monies of almost $300,000. And Maywood's portion of that is $12,930. So they'll be getting that money back. The other thing, if you follow the news, one of the things I complained about as a councilman and certainly a mayor was that the utility receipts taxes were taken away from the boroughs, all of the towns in New Jersey, and used by the state since Governor Whitman. And one of the things that's been proposed as we work through the budget is maybe returning that money to municipalities who are cash-strapped. And it ended up being, I hate to say this, a slush fund for the state to balance their budget. And as you say, one of the good things about having small-town mayors, as Senator Gordon was, and Assemblywoman Wagner served on the Paramus Council. The good thing about having people like us in government is we have long memories about things like that. They took that money out of our budgets and they use it down in Trenton, and people need to remind them that they promised to send that money back to the municipality. So we're going to work on getting that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. And I have to tell you that as we traveled from town to town, you have a beautiful borough hall and a beautiful meeting room. And I think that that's important because to me that signifies that you take great pride in what you do and it reflects on the pride in your community. So I really think that this room is just absolutely beautiful. Number two, I want you to know that I am on the Higher Education Committee, I'm on the Education Committee, and I'm Vice Chair of Labor. And what I have been doing is meeting with all the superintendents, including the superintendent of Maywood. And we're meeting in groups of 3 in some of the smaller schools. We've been gathering together to see what we can do. And we all know that as you create your budget, you do your portion here on the borough part, and then you have the education portion of the budget. And we know that that eats up a great part of your tax dollar. So we are talking with leadership. I'm talking with superintendents. I did meet with them. We prepared a report of all the comments that I received, and we're going to try and work together to see what we can do. But you have much to be proud of. You have a great superintendent, a great school here, and I'm anxiously and eager to work with them, and I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Do you have any questions?
Any questions?
You want money, I'm sure.
You can just leave it all upstairs. Big checks.
I would only add, I'm Vice Chairman of the Transportation Committee, a committee I joined this year. I thought that would position me well to try to get resources for my town. So particularly if you have any transportation needs, do let me know.
We do have a big request for a paving job on Hunter Avenue. We just put the request in. As well as a request for another streetscapes grant. So we do have 2 grants pending that we'd love to have you help with.
If I may, does that include like light rail funding? Because I would really like to see light rail come up to Borough County and this part of Borough County. I think it would facilitate people going to the Meadowlands more.
The light rail line is moving north. It will be east of Maywood.
But as long as it gets up here in the borough.
Yeah, we were disappointed that the tunnel project was ended because that would certainly take cars off the roads. But we're working on other alternatives and looking forward to the light rail system coming up here. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Our next issue tonight, we have presentation by the BCUA. I know Mr. Lau is here, and attorney for the BCUA, Mr. Sinisi, is here. They were here last year, members of the council who were here last year, and members of the audience who were here last year. They're going to talk to us a little more about the program that the BCUA is doing regarding infiltration.
Thank you very much, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor, members of the council, and governing body staff, Administrator Stern. I want to thank you for giving us this opportunity. Mr. Dario contacted us and thought that it might be extremely beneficial if we spent a few moments to reintroduce and reacquaint this governing body with the objectives of what is called the RD-I&I project, Rain-Derived Inflow and Infiltration Project, the thrust of which is to prevent extraneous waters from infiltrating the systems that we serve as the trustees for, you on the local level with your local municipal system, and of course the Bergen County Utilities Authority as the regional utilities authority, which has responsibility for the operation of its wastewater treatment plant and pertinent facilities. This is a very expensive problem that has gone on much too long. We know this. The problem is that where you sit and where I used to sit, where Mr. Dario sits now for several municipalities in Bergen County in my youth, I can recall many times when this subject was initially broached that it was appropriate to table this for further study. How many times have we heard that phrase, and we know what it sometimes can mean? It's a code word for an action, or phrase for an action. Can't afford it anymore. You can't afford it anymore because you know that the bills that you receive from your regional authority have to reflect the costs of the operation of the system. But we serve as I view the role of the BCUA in this current initiative, as a trustee for this system. And a trustee has certain responsibilities, and that is to take the initiative when others haven't. And it's important that you realize this is an opportunity for you to get aboard at this time, and it's a critical time, because opportunities do not linger, and it's important that you take advantage of them when they present themselves. This opportunity allows you to go beyond where you were in the 1980s, several decades ago, where you obligated yourselves to operate and maintain your systems in such a way as to address rain-derived inflow and infiltration. It hasn't been done. Studies have shown it hasn't been done. You've been the recipients of those studies that the BCUA has conducted in the past several decades, starting in, I believe, 1980-ish. Am I right, Eric? Maybe even a little earlier. We have our chief engineer here tonight, Eric Anderson. We have our executive director, Robert Lau, and we have our engineer assigned to the Maywood project here, Mr. Patrick Cadbury. You're going to get a very brief presentation, but I wanted you to know that what we did was try to address this on a system-wide basis, agreeing to undertake the initiative to contract to repair those areas identified in need of the remediation of I&I. This is a voluntary program on the one hand, in the sense that as it touches and concerns residents who may have the endemic problems that this project is designed to root out and remediate, it is voluntary. We have a goal of the elimination of 30% of the infiltration of rain-derived I&I as part of this project, and that is on a system-wide basis. That is to say that we don't mean to insist that it has to come from Maywood 30% and the next town 30%. It's a system-wide goal, and in some towns we will far surpass it. In other towns we may not have 30% to remediate. You'll hear more about that momentarily. We bring to you this. We bring to you the opportunity to extricate this problem from the bottom of the pile and make serious headway quickly by entering into a service agreement that has been prepared and circulated. We have several towns that have in fact passed resolutions and have signed contracts which we are receiving even as we speak. I received one this afternoon from yet another constituent municipality of the Bergen County Utilities Authority. And so what you need to know that this is an opportunity to cure this problem once for the system. Thereafter, it's going to be on your dime if you don't keep it up and repair it. But this will get this ship righted in terms of a collective and common approach to the problem. And you'll hear about how we intend to approach that problem in Maywood as well as on a system-wide basis. And we would encourage you to join up now because otherwise it remains your responsibility. We're giving you that opportunity to join us now to get it done on a system-wide basis and then to maintain it thereafter. And we will be responsible, the Bergen County Utilities Authority shall be responsible for the costs of directing and undertaking the remediation to eliminate or to reduce RDI&I. You will have soft costs. Soft costs will be obviously a waiver of fees and permits that you would ordinarily get for a contractor that would come in and do work in your municipality, because you're not paying for it. We're going to be paying for it. We're going to ask your police departments to assist our engineering firms and our contractors to make sure that in areas where they will be working, where backhoes may have to be deployed to do certain work, we'll need them to assist us with traffic management. Those are the soft costs that you incur while we are in Maywood doing what we have to do, by way of example. That is generally the overall scope. We'd ask you to endorse our applications to the state of New Jersey for funds that we will apply for grants and loans for this purpose, and we would expect, obviously, since you and the entire system would benefit from this work effort, that you would want to endorse those applications, which is where the money hopefully will be funded from and become part of our system-wide costs when we repay it. That, in general, is a thumbnail sketch. I could go on for hours, but your time is precious and you've got more extensive public business to address. And tonight, I would just like, if you don't mind, to allow us to call Mr. Patrick Cadbury to give you a quick presentation so that for those of you who have not received any information on this, this will be a perfect opportunity to get what we call the Cliff Notes, a bridge version of what this is all about. And I'd also like to compliment the client that I represent, and I've had the pleasure of representing them since 1983 in one capacity or another. So I've kind of grown old watching these problems evolve and the solutions created to address them. There was a letter that was prepared that was sent to every municipality, and I know you've gotten it. I'm going to hand it out tonight. But it really tells the story in 2.5 pages of why it's important now for you to take advantage of this initiative. At this time, I'd like to call Mr. Cadbury to quickly, and I mean that word, without sacrificing quality, but expeditiously present the authority's presentation tonight while I hand out the letters. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Easton.
They got it.
Yeah, I got
it. If Councilman and Councilwoman will excuse my back while I give the presentation, I appreciate it. The BCUA is responsible for the interceptors and treatment facilities, but not the municipal sanitary sewer. And so we would say, why then is the BCUA involved at this juncture? And there are 3 reasons. The source of the extraneous flows from the different municipalities impact the wastewater treatment plant at Little Ferry. B is the sanitary sewer overflows from the manholes impact the public health and the waters of the United States through flowing into basements and streams. And C, this is kind of hidden in a pile, and BCUA picked up on this. If we have no action, without an action, DEP could prohibit new sewer connections and new land development through wastewater management planning.
By way of introduction and recent background, this really came to head during the nor'easter we had back in 5 years ago in 2007. It really was a condition that activated the RDII, the rain-derived infiltration inflow. It caused, and I'm sure as council members you had the sad task of talking to many of your people in town, backups in the basements, manhole overflowings. It also had severe problems at BCUA, caused municipal sewage surcharge, and actually caused the BCUA treatment plant in Little Ferry to bypass. And also Tropical Storm Irene had virtually the identical impacts to the municipalities and to the treatment facility. NJDEP got into the act. They required BCU, or they have required BCUA to give assurance that this RDII extraneous flow has been significantly reduced, and the vehicle to use the wastewater management plan. And the reason that's so important is the wastewater management plan approval is required to allow development of future land development that's consistent with your planning documents. Some definitions, and I'm sure you've seen these before. Infiltration is leaking groundwater into the sewer. Inflow is direct entrance of stormwater into the sewer system. We have some examples here of, we see here a direct discharge into a stream. This one is not so directly. It flows down to the catch basin and then into the waters of the United States. This is a very sad photograph of someone's basement that was inundated with the sewer backup. And on the bottom you see some, is a classical symbol for extraneous flow in a system, the surcharging of manholes. This is an illustration of infiltration inflow. The darker ones are inflow, the roof drains, on-cap cleanouts, etc., and the lighter defects, cracked and broken pipe, deteriorated manholes, etc. Those are some of the sources of extraneous flow, and they're difficult to find, and you'll see they are difficult to correct. Excessive, here are 7 consequences of excessive RDII, backup into homes and businesses, damage to property, pollution of local stream corridors, cleanup costs of property owners and the municipality, certainly public health and safety issues, economic hardship for all those parties involved, and of course, if not reduced, enforcement fines, which could be prohibitively large costs to the municipal collection system and to the BCUA treatment plant, which we're all a part of. The EPA got into the act with all the money spent in the late 70s, early 80s in the grants program. They actually conducted a white paper in 1990, and they looked back into all the money they spent into extraneous flow and wanted to know how successful it was. And to their credit, they came up with some very proactive suggestions. The first is they noted that it is important to address the entire area of a sewer system, including the public and private portion. By that they mean the public portion is what's in your roadway, the paved way, and slightly beyond your right-of-way. That's your jurisdiction, and you can see that the illustration we had before, much of the defects of the system are beyond that. They also recommend the municipal program to assist financially the homeowners to pay for the true cost of what they term private building service connections. That's the laterals and the sump pumps and everything that's on the homeowner's end. The EPA case study went on to say that RDII, this extraneous flow, was between 40 and 80% of the extraneous flow comes from areas that are beyond your direct control. And that's the beauty of the BCUA plan you see, is we go out and we try to capture that very few agencies have done in the past. Municipal sanitary sewer systems are more prone to RDII than interceptors. In terms of some numbers that BCUA had to contend with, their treatment plan is about 79, 80 MGD. On the average, 30 MGD is associated with RDII, so you get a sense of what they have to treat that they shouldn't have to treat. And during the peaks, during especially the nor'easter, they had over their dry weather flow, they had an additional 138 MGD, which caused their bypass. And as evidenced by the nor'easter and also Tropical Storm Irene, the member municipalities have not been successful by themselves trying to address the extraneous flow or the RDII problem. BCUA's innovative approach in reducing the excessive RDII and also eliminating the sanitary sewer overflow. It will also help assure BCUA interceptor capacity and treatment facilities, and it will also assist the municipalities in having their sanitary sewer systems available for future capacity, and not only hydraulically but in terms of regulatory capacity. And we will also, their goal is to complete this program without having a costly expansion to their own treatment facilities. BCUA's role is consistent with their role when they were first founded in the 1950s. They replaced a lot of the sewage treatment plants along the Overpeck and Hackensack River, and BCUA again will assist the municipalities such as Maywood to accomplish this task, along with the other 46 participating municipalities. As Mr. Ceci indicated, their reduction goal is 30% of RDII over a 20-year period. They feel that that's reasonable and that's attainable. The initial steps, we've already taken step 1, presentation at the Mayor and Council, approval of the local municipal governments to undertake corrective action, and the attorneys are really important in this innovative approach. Execution of agreement with municipalities, and then approval of agreements that impact the property owners. We are going to be entering private property for access into their property, particularly their basements, where we can find and then install the corrective actions. The plan or the proposed task is it's voluntary, as Mr. Sinisi indicated. Permission to enter onto the property with the homeowners, identify RDII, the extraneous flow, identify any leaking local service connections through closed-circuit TV, and the good news is the repairs in this situation are at no direct cost to the property owner or to the Borough of Maywood. Here's 3 examples. One is the classical sump pump that's tied to the sanitary. It will be relocated to the storm sewer next. Next is the redirecting of roof drains and roof leaders from the sanitary sewer to the proper drainage, whether it be the street or the storm sewer. And last is redirection of foundation drains from the sanitary sewer to the storm sewer or surface drainage. In terms of, we spoke about the homeowners. In terms of municipalities and their task, BCUA will install stormwater sewers in the municipal right-of-way to assist in the collection of stormwater. So it doesn't have to discharge to your streets. We would extend a storm sewer to gather that stormwater. Repair of manholes and leaks, adjacent shears that are in the municipally owned sewers, and repair of municipally owned sewer mains, and other, with the focus on trenchless technology. It may involve some replacement. Again, that this would be at no direct cost to the homeowner or to the municipality. Again, before BCUA can proceed, we need to enter into an agreement with the municipalities and also enter an agreement voluntarily with the property owners. I think I'll be with some handouts. We've already started to talk to municipalities, and also we have a public information program, and you see that all this has been professionally prepared. Some of the initial actions would be to talk to our DPW. They know a lot of the defects of the system. That would give us a leg up. And also the improvements will be publicly bid as necessary, both in the municipal right-of-way and the private property. So they would have all the protection of insurances, quality control that the municipality would have, bonding and whatnot. Tentative schedule, we would like to get to a start with the execution of agreements if we can right away. Obtain within 3 months, start obtaining permission for property owners to conduct inspections in the basements. With 8 months, actually go door to door and begin the field investigation. Hopefully within 9 months, we would have a report on the findings, and then within a little under 2 years, we would hope to initiate some of these improvements to the system. In summary, our goal is 30% reduction It would help to reduce the overall sewage cost by reducing your volume to BCUA. You reduce your cost, improve public health and safety to residents, improve the reliability of your sanitary system in terms of its hydraulic capacity and also regulatory, forego the sewer and plant expansion for ratepayers on a system-wide basis, and also improve the local water environment by helping to reduce manhole overflows and bypassing of the systems. The next is the overall strategy of BCUA. They provided an innovative framework to move forward, focusing on repairs of leaking building laterals, focusing on disconnection of prohibited uses such as sump pumps and roof drains in the system, and focus on manhole repairs and adjacent piping. They found that to be common sources. And again, I'd like to thank you for your time. We appreciate the opportunity to address the council, and any questions we have the staff and myself.
Thank you very much. Thank you for proceeding as quickly as you did. I appreciate that. Anybody have questions at this time?
I'm going to assume that, and tell me if I'm wrong, that some of the work's going to involve digging up of our streets. So is, in fact, one of our indirect costs that we're going to have to incur is the repaving of those streets?
Our focus is, as I mentioned before, would be on treacherous technologies, lining whenever we could. There are some, you're absolutely right, there are some situations where the pipe is beyond repair, it's crushed and beyond repair. We would again repair that and repair the surface. We would restore the surface of the trench to the condition it was prior to the construction. Yes.
So effectively, we won't have to come back and pave over it? That's not going to be one of our incurred costs?
No, that's our goal, is to pave, to restore the trench and to...
Primary is trenchless.
Okay.
Technology.
Yeah.
Backup is if trenchless can't work because the lines are crushed, then obviously there will be excavation and there will be pipe replacement, and with that would obviously be the re-preparation of the roadway.
And that'll be on the BCUA side?
That's what you heard our engineer say.
Okay. Assuming, though, some of our indirect costs are going to be large, would we get enough notice to be able to properly budget for it?
I would tell you you would, but again, I will let the engineers who will be working it practically with your DPW chair and your local engineer as to the organization and coordination of that work effort.
All of the work, all of the improvements would be conducted as any improvements in the municipality would. There will be the presentation of plans and specifications to BCUA, and the advertisement. Your DPW is a key member of the team, and everyone would have a look-see at it before we went out here.
Thank you.
I just want to comment on the presentation. I thought it was very well done, and it was much tighter than the one that we had a year ago.
We were sidetracked, if you may recall, and I think I remember that evening, because I went away scratching my head.
I know you did.
Was I here for a budget hearing on and a referendum on our rates, or was I here for a specific project called RDI&I?
I think it was RDI.
Yes, it was.
But all I'm saying is this was a much tighter presentation tonight, and it was excellently presented.
Thank you for your comments.
I have no further questions.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just overall question, nuts and bolts of the program, if you don't mind. I know does the project solely rely on grants and federal or state funding? Because if you have 46 other municipalities and then Maywood joins, how do you prioritize who gets fixed, what gets fixed, and when?
Well, may I ask? I mean, there's multiple questions there. The first one is the BCUA is financing the operation through low-interest loans funded through the New Jersey Environmental Infrastructure Trust Fund and other state low-interest loan funding sources. That's the primary source of funding. We have select grants. There's been a lot of work previously over many years that have been funded through federal sources as well as grants. That money's spent already. But going forward, the primary source is going to be low-interest loan funds.
Okay,
second part,
system-wide, 30%, system-wide, you have 46, maybe 47 municipalities. How do you prioritize what gets done, obviously funding.
Yes, we do have 47 municipalities that are directly connected and served, water is treated at the plant in Little Ferry. Prioritization, of which Maywood is one of the top 10 priority of the 47, was conducted over a decade of studies, and we are targeting those high priority towns now. And obviously this is getting back to Mr. Sneese's comments about the opportunity and the window of opportunity for those towns that have been identified with high I&I issues, and notwithstanding that, towns such as Maywood have undertaken some of its own remedies over the years. There still are some greater both public side improvements and more importantly on the private landowner side that you haven't been able to get into, and this will be a two-pronged approach. Obviously, if there were easily identifiable public infrastructure improvements, laterals, your municipal collection system, we would be able to together attack that relatively quickly. But we've identified through studies that a greater source of the rain and stormwater infiltration into the system is coming from private connections. That's where we need the cooperative effort. That's not even an indirect cost. That's just the PR, the communications, the buy-in, the letters from the mayor, the notifying your residents that this is something to embrace and to assist with, not to run from. Because we've had serious pushback in certain towns just on the simple notion of knocking on someone's door and asking them, can we see your basement? So that's where you guys can come in with no direct cost, no indirect cost, just help.
And you should know that the studies that have been undertaken over the years are not only in our archives, but are in yours because we furnish them to you. So if you want to get a jump start on reading material about the background of this subject in your community and specifically, those studies, as I say, date back decades and have brought up to what we'll call recent vintage, and we'll be happy to share with or supplement what you've already received.
Let me just expand on your question.
Ms. Hanson, can you come to the microphone?
Oh, sorry. I can squeeze a hand.
Derek Anderson, our chief engineer.
Oh, it does, okay. Sorry. In terms of evaluating the projects, the first phase is just to go out there and perform the assessments. Assessments on the property, looking for roof leaders, looking for sump pumps, looking for foundation. And then we'll get a whole inventory of problem areas. And what we'll do is we'll have a special committee of the engineers establish how much it costs per gallon through taken away from the system. And it might be sump pumps, depending on how many there are, whatever it takes to get to our goal at the lowest possible price. Because, again, the costs are spread among our ratepayers. So when we go through our evaluation, just the same as you would look at an energy conservation project where you would look at payback, this would be a way of evaluating uniformly, so it's fair and square for every municipality with regards to getting as much benefit locally as possible. But we would do an evaluation in terms of only taking the lower hanging and easily reached fruit, as opposed to doing the open cut. I can tell you, the money wouldn't go very far doing open cut repair work. They have technology now where they can take these systems, they can do a TV inspection, and as they find it, they fix it in the same mobilization. And they can go out there and they can grout a sewer and any leaks quickly and effectively. We're going to get a lot of work done, again, with the sump pumps and just putting in, disconnecting the roof leaders and extending them out away from the foundation. So we'll get so whatever we can do for the least cost, that's what we're going to do. But right now we're just going out and gathering some field information, and then so we know when we go out to bid what the estimated quantity is going to be, and which homes that we have access to. And it's again, it's a two-pronged approach. We're going to get permission to do these assessments, and we try not to use the word inspection because it has some connotations. It's not an inspection. We just want to do an assessment to find out, because the people always have the right to their privacy and not to participate in the program up to a point. Now we have amnesty. You've seen the letters that we sent out, but At the end of the day, your sewer ordinance, which was adopted as a prerequisite to joining the system, was to abide by the ordinance, which doesn't allow these clean water connections, really dedicated for the dirty water, to come in. So one way or the other, you can participate now or pay later. And this is a great opportunity because Maywood has had a history of this problem. So that's why you were put up on the top of the list to get this opportunity. Because again, we want to get the biggest bang for the buck. We're not going to go into a town that doesn't have a problem and correct it. We want to come into a town where it can be very readily fixed. So hopefully I was able to clarify that.
Not to belabor a point, but let's say you do an assessment on a residence. You have a sewer lateral issue, you have a sump pump issue, you have your own contractors, staff, whatever, that will do this work, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you oversee the contractor. Does our local officials do inspections of the work, or do you inspect the work? Who oversees all of that? After you say, okay, go to 123 Maywood Avenue, you've got to replace the sewer lateral, get rid of the sump pump connection to the sewer, and go from there. Now, the contractor is overseen by you folks, or do our local officials have to oversee that?
No, we'll do that. As part of the overall project. We haven't selected those professionals yet. Right now, the appointments that we've made basically are for doing the assessment.
You had mentioned the waiver of the permit fees and things that I would presume what normally a municipality would be doing. So I presume there's some work and effort on our behalf to assist with processing those permits, but obviously waiving any fees. Is that correct, or is it?
Yeah, well,
you're overseeing everything.
Like a plumbing permit, for example, for a sump pump.
No fee, right?
Yes, we want that. Yes, absolutely.
No fee involved, and then our local plumbing inspector or building inspector would inspect the trench and what have you.
Yeah. What we'll do is, to expedite it for the building department, we'll have a model for that particular item, sump pump. All this, so I mean, so they'll all be pretty much uniform in terms of code compliance. So they don't have to really, it'll be uniform for all the sump pumps or all the roof connections if that's part of the code. I don't think that is, but whatever it is, we're going to have, before we even go out, and we're going to have a pre-construction meeting, a pre-project meeting with all the municipal entities in terms of the police and the DPW to work out all these logistics.
Well, just to assure the residents, listen, okay, you're going to participate in this program, we have your assessment, you need repairs, you're going to do those repairs, contractor is selected by the BCUA, they're going to file permits, so everybody's covered. Everybody knows who's working on your property, who's in the house.
And that's why we really want to come in up front and gain your agreement to go ahead, because it has to be a team effort.
With the property owner's consent.
Correct.
Big capital C there.
But only during this amnesty program that we have now. Like I said, at some later date, it could be more forceful. I'll give you, this is not take too much more of your time. I think you get the Municipalities magazine. I guess it's distributed by League of Men. I don't know if you've seen the May edition yet, but in that May edition, they have an article, Warwick, for example, that goes to Northwest, and they pay more than you guys actually do for Bergen County Police Authority. But they have a big problem with their budget.
More than us?
Yeah, absolutely. We're about half, but then anyway. In any event, they have an article in there where they've done that in their town, and they've actually put a surcharge on their residents of $50 a month if they do not allow the building department to go in there and do the inspections for the sump pumps.
There's only two residents left that are still paying the money.
Yes.
Right. You saw the article. So I'm saying so they've gone through this process, and this is the result. And I don't know if they're going to be reelected next year, but in any event, that's their problem. You say this is a lot more sympathetic. This is a lot more reasonable. This is, again, teamwork with the homeowner and with the BCUA and the municipality.
Eric, you heard what he said. Absolutely. That's the question we had just before we came in here, and now you've answered it, and that's something.
We may leave tonight, but we're at your disposal. There is also a hotline that your residents will be made aware of to call, but your attorney can call me at any time, your mayor, any member of the council. We're happy to assist with any questions that you have, and would like you to really consider getting this done pursuant to that timetable. Yes?
Council, I have a question to the engineer, real quick.
Yes.
Is there a a goal, a participation goal that you have from a town of residents? Let's say, is there a 50% homeowner participation? Is there a goal of 60, 40, or what's the goal?
No, there's no goals. There have been case studies of
100%?
But there's been a lot of volunteerism. Once people know the problem, and they know, this is like motherhood and apple pie in terms of, polluting the rivers, surcharging the neighbors' basements, trying to save a little bit money. You're paying extra for the stormwater as part of your overall bill. So there's really no downside. You don't have to spend a ton of money putting in larger pipes. We don't have to spend a ton of money enlarging our treatment plant to handle the storm flow problem. So it's really a multiple win situation.
One last question. What's the answer to the resident saying, why should I let you in my house? I mean, right now, I have when there's a storm, they have an illegal hookup, there's a storm, everything that comes out of my sump pump, instead of flooding my basement, goes into my sewer. Why should I let you in my house? What's the benefit to me?
Because it's illegal. What they're doing is illegal. And there's a societal benefit, and we put together these handouts.
Well, I'm hoping you're going to tell me that because you're going to make it just as good. the remediation you're going to do is going to fix that the same way, only it's going to be redirected. Is that the answer?
Yes. Yes, we're going to take it and put it where it belongs, in the ground, or in the stream, or or other place, but not in your sanitary sewer, which would come down to our.
So when a flood happens and the sump pump kicks in, it's going to be going somewhere out of the basement. It's just going to be redirected at this point.
Right, and then like I said, if everybody continues, which happened in the last storm, to continue to pump it into the sanitary sewer, which isn't designed to handle all that water, it'll back up right back into them, unless they put a check valve or something like that. It's really in their long-term best interest to do that. And again, now's the time to do it, because now they're getting a grant, from the BCUA to get it done. In the future, like up in Warwick, it was up to the homeowners to pay for it and hire a plumber. And that's why this whole thing is a regional, to do it regionally, we can do it cheaper.
Thank you. Thank you. Maywood is very fortunate that we have an individual member of the public who I'm sure you're very familiar with, Mr. Sapos, who knows probably more about Maywood sewers than anybody. Something to be proud of, I guess. But we thank him for all of his hard work, and I'm sure that he will, be very involved in this process with us and still be communicating with you on our behalf. And I thank you for your efforts in that. And
truly,
so
and
we'll keep the ball rolling here.
Mayor, he's at every meeting, and he's always paying attention and very interested, acutely interested in this topic specifically, not only for Maywood but generally, as I've come to observe. So you have a tremendous representative, whether it's official or unofficial, attending our meetings and monitoring the progress of what we're doing.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Poliniak, engineer reporter.
Thank you. Our office issued a 4-page engineer's report dated May 4th for tonight's meeting. The first item on the list is the 2009 Economic Recovery Program project, which is the EIT project. Again, the Mendez and Lincoln drainage improvement portions have been installed. The restoration project needs to occur with respect to that. That will occur when the Magnolia Sewer portion of the project is constructed, which I'll continue to discuss as I proceed. At the last Mayor and Council meeting, which was April 10th, our office, per the direction of the Borough, submitted a project revision plan package, which included plans and descriptions of the revised scope. That package was submitted April 13th to the DEP. What it illustrated was the replacement of approximately 550 linear feet of sanitary sewer along Magnolia Avenue, which contained breaks, damage, sags, the Brook Avenue manhole siphon configuration, which creates actually inadequate capacities within that structure, sanitary sewage backing up in that area, and then the Lawrence siphon, which contains an obstruction which is affecting flow in the area. As a follow-up, we contacted the DEP on May 1st to discuss the package. They've received it. They haven't completed the review, but they instructed us that by the beginning of next week, they would complete their review. Subsequent to that review, our office would submit a formal change order to the borough to change the scope of the project, which would be the elimination of some of the lining, and then the change ordering in of the replacement of the sewer and the siphon repair. It should be noted, as I discussed last meeting, there would be no additional funds required for this project. In actuality, the funds required would be reduced by approximately $30,000. We would anticipate, based on this schedule, that construction of these improvements would occur mid to late June of this year. The third portion of the project relates to the Spring Valley Road Pump Station. As previously discussed, we reviewed with the borough attorney the need for easements and the locations of these easements. I know Mr. Dario has been attempting to acquire these easements, and as discussed last meeting, I believe he was going to discuss the matter further with an appraiser. Once the easements have been acquired, an interlocal connection agreement would occur with Primus, and it would be bid accordingly and then constructed. On page 2, the solar power project, the Department of Energy grant project, that construction is proceeding. The roof construction should be completed shortly, and the project is on schedule, being completed in July of this year. Spring Valley Road, the DOT grant that the borough received for municipal aid in the amount of $146,500. We understand that the borough would authorize our contract to proceed with the design. The design would include improvements starting at West Pleasant Avenue and working your way toward the north, and then we would include an alternate bid for improvements in front of Memorial Park, should the borough choose to utilize some of their own capital funds to do that. If not, you would just reject that alternate bid. We proceeded with the survey work and task, and that would be completed by the beginning of next week, and we would issue formal preliminary plans to the borough June 8th. Our anticipated schedule for this project would be that you would have an advertisement for bid and plan pickup June 18th, a bid opening date of July 11th, a tentative award date would be at your second meeting in July. Depending on when contracts get in order and signatures occur, we would anticipate either beginning or late August would be the beginning of construction, and then depending on where that's situated out with respect to the contracts being signed, construction would be completed no later than the end of October. The municipal pool project, the monitoring points as related to the settling. Again, in March, we inspected the pool. No settling was detected. In early June, we will perform our second monitoring session to see if that holds true throughout. The next page, on page 3, the municipal pool, the sanitary sewer lateral, per the direction of the mayor and council at last month's meeting. Our office issued a solicitation on April 19th. On May 2nd, we issued a solicitation recommendation letter to authorize Gotthold paving in the amount of $5,950 to address the SAG, pending the availability of funds if the borough so chose to award that work. They could, sadly, the slide said 2014, so that might... The Borough Hall monitoring points project, as discussed, we located points within Borough Hall, the police desk, the first floor restroom, the front stairs, set those locations. Our first monitoring session, again with that, would also be in early June. The West Pleasant Avenue streetscape intersections, a couple months ago we had forwarded, I guess, some sketches to the Borough Administrator for review and also the Mayor and Council for review and consideration. I believe Ms. Stern had contacted some of the contacts that we had forwarded as it relates to potentially soliciting quotes for this work. The user fee sanitary flow calculations, our office received the water consumption table from the borough on May 1st. Within the next 2 weeks, by May 15th, we will have a bill table for use by the borough for submission to the individual industrial and commercial users. The final item relates to the Superfund site. in Maywood, the Army Corps Shaw Group project. The Army Corps has requested authorization from the borough as it relates to constructing sanitary sewer improvements to continue their work. One of the improvements includes a doghouse manhole at the Step and Chemical site. Our office had issued a 10-point letter or email to the borough, which should be incorporated in any agreement to conduct for the Army Corps to conduct those improvements for review and consideration. It included work with respect to cleaning the sanitary sewer, a reporting program as it related to the discharge, and also the work that's occurring on site, so that the borough was up to date on what was occurring on the site. Also, our office in April issued a series of bills and reviewed information as it related to the discharge volumes, BODs, and suspended solids from the Maywood site. We could say that the Army Corps has submitted both bill payments as it relates to flow volumes, and then a second bill payment was recently made with respect to BOD and suspended solids. And that would conclude our report. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Well done. The West Pleasant Avenue streetscape turnarounds, I know that we got some numbers on.
Just today, actually.
Yeah. Given the fact that that was grants that we did that project with, is there an availability, you think, to go back for, I mean, we're not talking about a large number here, but rather than have the borough spend the money, do you think there's an ability to resubmit for grants?
Definitely, we could do as similarly as what we did with the Maywood Avenue streetscape and also East Hunter. We filed for discretionary aid grants. We can do the same with West Pleasant Avenue, and then when we get to the point in time where there's a call for a municipal aid grant similar to Spring Valley Road, which you had acquired this year, I guess we would meet with the mayor and council and discuss which priority order you'd like to submit those municipal aid projects, and then submit that for a second round if you don't get any discretionary aid money. So yes, we'd be glad to submit a discretionary aid grant if the borough so chose to do so.
Anybody have any questions?
It just seems that would push it back up.
It may.
Yeah, it may.
But I think some of the numbers we got, not terribly powerful.
Greg and I talked about that, and we still have some questions about it. I mean, one contractor actually produced a quote. His first quote wasn't clear at all. The second quote is not much clearer. But we were thinking, at least I had some thought, that it was something that we didn't have to rush into, which I don't mind waiting for a grant opportunity, because once the islands are planted, I think it will take away from the eyesore of the planters that are in the turnarounds, and we can just live with them until, you know, until they're hit or until money becomes available, one or the other.
Anybody else?
One quick item, Mayor. I was going to say with my committee report, but while Greg is here, the Fletcher Park sign has finally been installed, and the reason I mention it is because Negley Associates has paid for that sign. They made it and donated it to the project, and it was installed last week by the DPW staff. It looks great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Excellent report.
Anybody else?
Thank you.
Question. Where does the payments by the Army Corps, where does that, I know there was some estimates given. Where does that bring them up to date at this point? Where are they?
That takes them through 2011.
Right.
So they submitted a partial report, which was very minimal with respect to the first 3 months of the year. So we didn't submit a request for payment for 2012 and looked to submit that later in the year when the flow had gotten larger. But we could submit a partial payment for 2012 if the borough so chooses.
They're officially caught up?
They're caught up through
Yes.
2011.
Okay.
And we actually have the money.
Great. Good stuff.
Anybody else? Thank you very much.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thanks. I don't know that anybody need the engineer for the meeting?
No.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Excellent report.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Okay. On to public hearing on pending order.
Ordinance number 512, calendar year 2012 ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank in accordance to NJSA 48-4-45.14.
Then ordinance 5-12 for public comment. Anyone? Okay, close. We have Motion.
Move for adoption.
Second.
Roll.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriema?
Yes.
Fabre?
Yes.
Be it resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood that ordinance 512 be and is passed upon second and final reading, the Borough Clerk is hereby authorized and directed to advertise the same according to law.
Correspondence.
Yes, actually, I would like to remind everybody the last day to register to vote prior to the primary election is next Tuesday, the 15th of May, and the Borough Clerk's office will be open from 8:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. We also received today a letter from a homeowner authorizing the fire department to, they put in a permit to demolition permit for their home, and the fire department has obtained approval to drill bit. So that's on file, that's all been resolved. And also you have in your packets information that we received from the Borough Administrator and myself spoke with SwiftReach today regarding the reverse 911, and you have information in your packets on that to review. And all the recycling and what you talked about on that, the changes. All of them have been delivered to the home, all the recycling delivered. That's all I have.
Just on that note, before we leave that issue with the reverse 911 program, if you could all take a look at that. Rochelle Park also just went and got involved in a contract, I forget what the name of the program they had, iTouch or something for that effect. Just very similar program, can be utilized to inform the public via emails, texting, calls. Very similar, I think, to what this is also proposing. Hopefully by the next meeting I'll get their proposal that they had from their company, and we can compare the two. Borough Administrator.
Just a few items, Mayor. As I just said, we did in fact receive the money from the U.S. Army Corps for both of the outstanding bills, and the small amount from the BODs and TSS was the second payment. We also did receive the necessary quotes for the dog park at Memorial Field, so I'm going to be reviewing those and choosing somebody within the next day or so. And all the contractors that I spoke to said that they could do this work within the next week to 10 days. Very happy to report that after some persistent negotiating, the original contractor who built the batting cages will be repairing the damages caused by last year's storm at his expense. I had gotten prices anywhere from $3,500 to almost $10,000 from other contractors for these repairs, so I'm happy that things worked out that way and that we took our time and managed to get him to commit to doing this. And lastly, in keeping with Greg's report, the solar panels will be up and finished actually probably this week, the latest next week, so they will be up and running much before July. They moved very quickly and we were very lucky with the weather. The kiosk is installed, it's not operating yet, but it's ready to go live. The work that we needed to do with the fire panel for this new solar system has been done, and everything's been moving along very nicely. And that's all I have.
Thanks,
Roberta, I'm sorry, the dog park fencing,
Yes.
how is this being paid for? Is this going to be
We have,
donations, or is it
no,
going to be...
well, it'd be wonderful if we got donations. We had talked about that a way back, and that there were some people who said that they'd like to contribute. Nobody's come forward with anything, so far. There are other things that they can do as far as contributing, fixing up that dog park. There are certain other things that would make it very user-friendly for both the dogs and their owners, which we're not prepared to install at this time. So if we do get, contributions, we could put aside make a separate trust for that. And right now, this money is going to be paid for from money that's in existence from Memorial Park, previous bonding.
Thank you.
questions for the Borough Administrator?
Mayor, just, not so much a question, but I just would like to thank you for uncovering the lack of payment with the Army Corps of Engineers and following through with this and actually getting that done. I want to thank you very much for that. I know it's a considerable amount of money. And also, on a smaller scale, I'd like to thank you for following up and spearheading, and I know you talked me off the ledge a couple times, but actually getting the contractor to actually agree to fix those battery cages at no cost to the borough. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Borough Attorney.
I have, most of my report would be enclosed, but in connection with Truck 17, spoke to Chief and Councilman Cabrias. We had a conference call, Deputy Chief. I don't have all that positive of a report to give because the people at American La France have been somewhat ducking me. Spoke to the borough clerk, maybe taking a ride out to Pennsylvania and seeing exactly what's going on with this truck.
Administrator. I don't think she was.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at you and I'm saying that, but Borough Administrator. But when I did speak to a gentleman at American La France last week, I asked him for a status. He said once he gets the parts of the order, it would be 6 to 8 weeks before a vehicle would be on the road. I asked him to give me a list of what parts he needed, and I want to know exactly where the truck is. I don't know if it's in some field somewhere. I don't know if it's covered. We have no idea. He indicated he would provide that information for me before tonight's meeting. I didn't receive it as of the time I left my office at 5 o'clock. I have a strongly worded letter going out to them tomorrow, and I'll keep everyone updated.
Do you have any questions for the Borough Attorney?
Just to follow up on that. I don't know if the public's aware or what they know about this, but I know Mr. Fleischman knows we are caught between, and I know you guys know as well, we're caught between the proverbial rock and a hard place with this situation with Truck 17. We cannot just send this truck out to anybody. The manufacturer of the truck says this is the vendor that has to fix it. Nobody else can do it, and there's one place on the East Coast that can do it. So they're the only people that can fix this truck. So they have it, and we're basically at their mercy at this point.
Commissioner Cabrera brought that up because this obviously was not a legal question that we never really had a direct answer on. You know, after 18 years of owning the truck, what kind of proprietary rights does the vendor have? Cab and chassis work, we could have sent it anywhere. The fire pump and fire pump apparatus, that's a different story. Welding a ladder is welding a ladder. Fixing an axle is fixing an axle. It's, where do we fall in our church realm, and where are we legally? We own the truck, we pay for the truck. How much longer do they have proprietary rights over that equipment?
They have to certify it. Doesn't that what came back last year?
You have an 18-year-old truck. Do you want UL certification? Do you need UL certification? Are we insured if we don't get UL certification? I mean, there's a lot of legal questions there. Cab and chassis work, fixing an axle or welding the frame, that's a different story.
It comes down to the UL certification, which is going to increase our insurance, from my understanding, if we don't get it UL certified.
Significantly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had that question last year.
Yeah, it's a big number. I mean, anyone, can fix an axle, you can bring it to there up the street to do that, and they can do the job. But if it doesn't get certified, insurance goes through the roof. But if something happens in a fire, breaks down on the way.
I'm sorry, how long have they had this truck? It's been a while.
December.
So,
December of 11.
So as of December, they still haven't gotten parts, and they couldn't...
They originally...
They're the only guys on the East Coast to do it. Maybe we should be contacting the manufacturer and say, hey, guys, you made a sense there now. Just a suggestion.
I think the council has contacted the manufacturer.
I know it's been frustrating.
Well, the concern, I think, as the Borough Attorney indicated, certainly in my discussions with the chiefs, and my own concern is that this vehicle may be sitting in a yard somewhere.
Rotting.
And we're going to get it back in worse condition than it was.
That's why I want to go there.
Yeah, these vehicles aren't meant to be outside the house, except when in use.
So it's time to...
It seems like, You gotta drive to Pennsylvania to see the truck. I mean, what are we kidding me? You know, but...
Can you take the electric car, maybe? Is that possible?
Yeah, I don't know.
Effort, it won't get you there.
Can I take a police officer with me?
It's outside of Reading.
Yeah, go.
4 hours?
No.
Is it really?
Gettysburg College, just get it there.
3.5 hours?
45 minutes, come on.
One way, each way. 3.5 hours. Huh?
You are taking the electric car, it'd be taking that much time. But whatever it is, it's not around the corner, unfortunately.
Okay, well, I
it's a
did
problem.
ask for the address. I reached out to the chief, so I'll find out.
Let me check my calendar and we'll pick it in.
Take a
What
road
might
trip.
come.
Okay.
Okay.
Visitation for a truck. Anything else, Mr. Attorney?
Nothing.
Committee reports. Mr. Savage.
I have a number of items, Mr. Mayor. And if one goes back to this whole discussion on dog parks, okay? I've had an opportunity, and I had earlier, the letters of February 21, April 27, now May 4, from Anne Marie and Frank. I personally, I just recommend we close Coach's Dog Park immediately, or at least say we're going to have the other dog park up and running by the end of something. But let's bring this to a close, and I would support that wholeheartedly. Okay, that's one issue. The second one is I'd like to discuss tonight. We do have before us the Community Forestry Management Plan. Paul Cowie and Associates, a proposal for him. This is a 5-year document that's prepared with Shade Tree America, and we are proud of our trees and the forestry program here in Maywood. So I just recommend that the council, take a close look at that and just move that along as well, something that has to be done. The next one is my comments. I fully support the BCUA infiltration remedial program. There were a lot of questions that were left unanswered last year. Some people may say, why we hadn't taken that action earlier, but there were legitimate questions that had been raised by members of this council, the previous council. Some of those members are still here tonight. And I did think they made an excellent presentation tonight. I think it would be really irresponsible for us as a council, mayor and council, not to move forward on this project. I also had an opportunity to review some of the resolutions that we've had an opportunity to see from other boroughs, and I call our attention to 3 in particular. One is the employer support of the National Guard and Reserve. I feel very strong as a retired military. I feel strongly about that program, and I'd like to see us at least review it and take a look and at least consider it, okay?
That one actually is part of my report that I was going to recommend that we do at next meeting.
Okay.
This being Military Appreciation Month.
Well, good. I'm glad. We haven't had an opportunity to talk, but I mean, I'm glad you feel that way, and I firmly support you on that, okay? There was also a resolution opposing Senate Bills 1451 and 1452. This is a bill having to do with open public meetings and Records Act and things of that nature. One of our good friends, let me put it that way, she did a lot for the Borough of Maywood. I think Loretta Weinberg, Senator, is a proponent of this, and that aside, I normally support everything that Loretta tries to do, but I really do feel that this is an overreach, on behalf of our friends in Trenton to try to address some issues, but it's an administrative nightmare from my perspective. So again, I would support that we do something, to oppose that. Again, I'm just talking from where I'm at, and these are things, it's a work session, so whatever. We'd have to resolve that tonight. And also, and Tim, if someone used this tonight, the next one was the urging the state to restore energy taxes to the municipalities. That's one I think we support. I mean, Tim said it. We've already asked them informally whether we want to do. And these are relatively, Mr. Mayor, easy resolutions that all we do is copy them in effect, okay? And maybe we add a little something in, but it's not a big deal. That's all I have tonight. Thank you very much.
Those are very good points on those resolutions, Mr. Savage. I would certainly support bringing them to the council for the next regular meeting.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Fleischer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to follow up on the forestry report, the administrator hasn't already approved that, and we'll put that on the next agenda.
Actually, it's been approved. I spoke to Mr. Cowie, I spoke to Mr. Trapp. We're both in agreement. He's done the work before. I'm familiar with his work. He took off $100 because he raised us $200 this year. We split the difference, and we have the new proposal. So yes, we're moving forward with that.
Great, thank you very much. Also on the agenda tonight is the swim pool appointments for the season, which is starting the end of the month. Hopefully the council will support those appointments and move that forward. Also, I want to thank the mayor for overseeing the Arbor Day celebration on the 27th, attended by the administrator. It was a nice ceremony with DPW out there and a lot of kids from the school. Planting almost the whole school out there, and planting the 2 trees, which we received from Victoria's Nursery at a discount, I understand, from Mr. Trapp. So it's a nice event, and also it is Youth Month, and I know none of the kids are here tonight. I just want to introduce my counterpart. Her name is Eliza D. Tomaso. She's a junior at Hackensack High School. She's a member of the JV softball team. She aspires to become a vet, and she's been already doing quite a bit of college visits. Her first choice is Auburn University, which is a tremendous veterinary school. She's also looking at the University of Maine and Penn State. Also, she's been a friend of my son since I think nursery school. So, good kid, and all the best to her. And hopefully, she'll be here at our next meeting and present the nice report. That's all I have for now, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fleischer. Ms. Oriana?
Okay. I have a few things here. Just in terms of briefly the DPW, you may have noticed that there's some gardening going on in the Middle Island on Pleasant Avenue, and hopefully that will help beautify our streetscapes pending that ever hopeful replacement of those center.
Not going to even notice them anymore.
The other thing is, it's my understanding, I have a report from the recycling committee that the Maywood Girl Scout troops 875 and 823, along with Whole Foods, have gotten more involved in working on lessening the impact of number 5 plastics, which are sold to third world countries to be used as fuel. I love this because I'm always learning. So the Girl Scouts are involved in that, and their pictures will be on the Whole Foods website and I believe at the store. Also, our Maywood Daisy Troop is learning about honeybees and how important they are to our community, and we'll be planting sunflowers, I guess, around our town. And the most important thing to get ready for is the recycling committee will be hosting another paper and shredding and electronics recycling on May 19th. However, this year it will be at 15 Park Avenue from 9 a.m. to 1. And just as an aside, I have to say I did read through the letters collected in our file about the dog park, and I have to agree with Jack. I think we need to set a date certain to close the Toma Park, regardless as to whether the new park is ready. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Council President Fabre.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Most of what I wanted to discuss was with regard to Truck 17, and the rest is in closed session on that. Just piggybacking on what Mr. Savage said with regard to some legislation, one of the things, we did discuss this before, but one of the things I would like to perhaps look into is, again, getting some legislation, some ordinance in town with regard to the solar panels that are going up. I know if you drive around there, they're going up a lot of places. And not all of them are in the front of the house, all of them in the back of the house, and that does pose a hazard for firefighters should there be a situation in one of those houses. They're live. So we need to have some kind of identification on the front of the house or on the side, just so the fire department knows, and also maybe required to register in town so the fire department has a list of some of the houses with those solar panels, just so they know. I know we Did we get some kind of sample legislation on that?
There is legislation pending in the state right
Yeah,
now.
I knew I saw it somewhere,
But we certainly should and could get ahead of the curve on that. And I know we had talked at one council meeting previously about also designating trust roofs. Right now, commercial properties have to have designation if they are constructed with the truss system. Residential do not. More and more new houses are being constructed that way. Truss roofs are infamous for failing in a fire. As everybody knows, they're just wood that's held together with a thin piece of metal. When they heat up under a fire, the metal pops and the whole roof collapses.
That was the fire in...
That was the Hackensack Ford tragedy that occurred
But
20 years ago. I
The
guess,
house
but-
fire in upstate New York. Was
Correct.
that under construction?
Correct. So, I think getting ahead of the curve on both of these, the solar panels as well as the truss situation, just so that the fire department has a list. The Queen of Peace right now, church has solar panels on the roof, and quite frankly, not every fireman, I believe, is aware of that, and if new firemen come along, they may not be, but they do add a significant amount of weight to roofs, and they are live. As long as the sun is shining, they are making electricity, and so they don't have an off switch. So I think it's something to look into, not to over-regulate anybody, but certainly to protect our firemen.
Maybe we could direct the attorney to look into that and maybe find some, if he can't, he don't want to create it himself, perhaps find some sample legislation on the League of Municipalities website. They do have some samples on it. Mr. Mayor, like I said, everything else is closed session, so that's all I have. Thank you.
Briefly, the Green Team, a couple members here from the Green Team. Council President Fabre and I had completed the list of necessary materials for the Green Team's proposed community garden, which we're going to locate on a portion of property along Fairmount between Edel and Palmer. We will get that list to Home Depot. Home Depot National Headquarters in Atlanta has our initial request for the community program, where they assist communities in doing projects like this by providing the funding and even the labor. So hopefully, if we can get that list to them, we will actually get them to step up and work with us on getting this project completed before the summer hits. Also, the Green Team is working on a grant at this point. There are grants available for Green Team members. You don't have to be certified at this point. The borough is not certified as a Sustainable Jersey certified municipality at this point, but we are submitting an application for a grant. One of the members is assisting with that. And there is a subcommittee right now of the Green Team working on getting us certified so that there is more availability of grant money. There are several corporate sponsors of the Sustainable Jersey program throughout New Jersey that make available lots of grant money to assist in recycling and green type projects. So just to echo what Mr. Fleischman said about Arbor Day, it was a great program. We both planted a tree out in front of Memorial School. There was also the Mad Science program that the Mayor and Council paid for, was put on for the entire school, and the children seemed to really enjoy it, and it was a great educational program about conservation and recycling. And while we're on the issue of recycling, as everybody hopefully knows by now, our recycling schedule has been changed. Recycling will be picked up tomorrow. It is on the same cycle. This week, I believe, is cans. Next week will be paper again. But Hackensack is now doing our recycling pickup, and it is changed to Wednesdays. So put your cans out tonight.
And glass.
And glass and commingle. This month is also National Historic Preservation Month. The Historic Advisory Committee of Maywood is going to be making a recommendation for a citation of homeowners who are undertaking restoration of their homes. There are several properties in town that people are taking a lot of time and effort to restore rather than destroy and rip down, and I know that the Historical Advisory Committee is going to be submitting names just for certificate for any kind of recognition.
Nice.
There are a few people in town that have made some substantial efforts in restoring some of the older homes in town. I am going to be making my recommendation and submitting a name for the grant writer at the next meeting, hopefully for consideration by the council. And I think that's about it. I guess there's one other item. I guess if everybody saw in the paper, there is a young lady in Maywood who is a softball player for Hackensack High School, Erin Kelly. There was a big article in the newspaper the other day. She's going through a bit of a rough time, to say the least, right now. Her parents, Jerry and Patricia Kelly. Jerry works over at the Maywood Inn. I'm sure everybody's familiar. Patricia is a Norton. She's originally in Norton, a family that goes back quite a ways and has contributed a lot to the town. She's 16 years old, and she's got a long road ahead of her in her recovery of what she's going through. So I ask that everybody just keep the family and her in your thoughts and your prayers. And I think there is some fundraising going on that maybe we'll have some more information about at the next meeting. But that's about it. Last thing, along with the streetscapes, the planting has started, as the administrator said. If you noticed the newspaper last week, I sent a letter to the editor just thanking the Chamber of Commerce, who donated $4,000 towards that program. That's going to go a long way to help with the planting along Pleasant Avenue. Chamber of Commerce also donated $4,000 to the library as well at their last meeting. So we are working with the Chamber of Commerce in potentially setting up a car show in August for Pleasant Avenue, a portion of Pleasant Avenue. Hopefully have some more details about that to hopefully drum up some support for the downtown business. And the Celebrations Committee is working on revamping our holiday celebration when Santa Claus comes to town, and maybe doing a little more than what we've done in the recent past, and kind of getting a bigger celebration going for that weekend. So there'll be more information as we go on. To the action. All right, if everybody could turn to the action list at this point. End of here. Day in the Park is number one. I think we covered this at the last meeting, that there will not be a Day in the Park celebration in June or July. The fireworks will be going off for the 4th of July on Friday, the 29th. That is a Friday night. And of course, the 4th of July parade will be held on 4th of July, which is a Wednesday. The Day in the Park is going to be rolled into what we hope to be a fall fest, and get a little more support for that. Number two is the fee ordinance. It's been distributed to everybody a few months ago. Do you have any more comments?
No, I just have to follow up some of the department heads who didn't get back to me, and I haven't heard from anybody on the council. Is there anything else that they wanted to change? So if you want to take another quick look, I know Ron and I would like to get it done.
Is the landscapers certification or permits, are they part of the fee ordinance?
Yes.
Or are they a separate ordinance also?
It's on the fee ordinance.
Okay.
But we didn't get it in time to change it, so they're still paying the...
Right, I'm talking about obviously going forward.
Yeah.
If we can make it effective date of January 1 for that one.
Absolutely.
I think there was some talk about reducing the current amount to make it a little more bearable for our local landscapers.
Mr. Mayor, could I just briefly on this subject? So we're going to get another draft,
I thought the draft was...
Well, I have the draft now, but you said you've gone back to your...
No, I mean, there are some departments that have gotten back to me to approve what we did. Others have had some new changes, which really wouldn't affect anything on minor things for the building department that were omitted at the first draft. But I just think if there's anything that any of you see that you think is still doesn't seem right, I'd like to hear from you. And I just need to check with the police department on some of the changes that they had requested, that it's stated correctly in the fee ordinance now, because they haven't gotten back to me.
Okay. I was going to comment on the police fees.
Okay.
Yeah, and the security. I can. You want me to call you? Is that easy?
Absolutely.
Just give you the things that I
Yes.
picked up when I went through this.
Yes.
Shuttle bus rental, for example.
Yeah.
plus tolls. I mean,
Yes.
$60 per hour
I think we
driver plus
changed
tolls.
that.
Okay. And do me a favor, if you could, before I call you, on the police, the security details, cost of providing police officers. I did the math, and it seems like what we're doing is we're getting less money, but maybe I'm misreading.
That needs to be...
It doesn't have to be. It has to be, there's something in there when you read it, it just doesn't make sense.
Okay.
And really, the rest of them, I guess, this will be out as an ordinance, it'll be a first reading, correct, when we do it?
Yes.
So we'll get feedback then from affected parties, and we'll see where it goes from there. Okay, thank you very much, that's all my comments tonight.
If anybody else has any comments or questions or recommendations, please pass them along to the Borough Administrator for the next meeting. I think that leads us into the next point on the action list, which is fees for ball fields. I'm presuming that means fees for outside organizations' use of the ball fields. I think there was some discussion about potentially creating a fee for a borough-affiliated
Team.
Or entity. And obviously, this only applies to permits that are issued, not individuals using the fields, but if there's a permit issued, I'm presuming that that's what we're talking about here. Does anybody have any discussion or comments?
If a permit is necessary, then the fee structure kicks in.
Right.
And I think, Roberta, the
We had talked about a couple of other
25
towns that...
25 per hour minimum.
And then 50
3
at
hours.
night. It was because if it's a field that has lights, then it goes to $50, a minimum of 3 hours. Right.
I'm fine with that.
I'm fine with that too, I guess I made it up.
I think at this point, we would have an effective date after this particular baseball season, so that everyone is aware of it and can, prepare themselves and have their budgets in the right place.
Well, aside from the fee, I know we discussed it once before, the criteria involved.
Right.
The local organization already has a permit. What happens if they give up one of their slots to someone who's an out-of-town organization, but they don't have a permit?
Well, personally, I don't think anybody should be playing on our fields without a permit, because that means that we're not covered with insurance. So if there's somebody who's using a slot and not, kind of just there, we need to police that, because we have the liability if anything happens.
Recreation director copies the police department on all permits issued.
Oh,
Whether
okay.
they enforce it on...
Right.
But she does, I know she does that.
And then, even if a local organization that has permits, if they host out-of-town teams in a tournament, we have that issue. Do they get assessed a fee when all these out-of-town teams pay a fee to play in a tournament locally? And we incur costs on a weekend to get the fields maintained on a holiday weekend. Is that going to be part of the fee structure as well? It's all, I guess, all
Part of it, but it hasn't been brought up that way yet. We're just talking about mostly outside organizations, but if you want to have a standard, even an outside organization that's going to be paying this fee, if you want to say, as some towns do, that 50% of the people on the team have to be residents of this town, that's up to you to decide as well, because some towns do require that, even though there is a fee. In order to use the field, at least 50% of the members of that team, whether it's adult or children, have to be residents of the town. That's up to you.
Paperwork, and there's extra paperwork, and someone has to actually investigate who it is.
Well, that's why I said it depends if you want to go that far.
Your initial suggestion, which was if it's anything other than a Maywood entity,
right,
or an extension of
quasi or sanctioned by.
Yeah, I would think that would be it.
I would presume that includes the Board of Education.
Yes, inclusive of the Board of Education being a quasi-entity.
Well, that's another issue, because you have the Board of Education using a borough field, but no Maywood team can use the Board of Ed field.
That's not it.
They do use it.
They do let them use the field when available. We have had practice on the field.
But from what I understand, only a club team can use the Board of Ed field, but a local team, the MYAA team can't use the Board of Ed field, and vice versa, unless there's a lot of sticky wickets here that have to be.
Well, then I
worked
think
out.
maybe we could sit down with Frank Ricoli and see, if we can get some more information.
And as far as using school property, we've always, just a matter of the certificate of insurance. Because they've used our property, we've used their property, and basically it's just a matter of what the specific use was for.
Well, you do have a summer camp contract, so...
Well, only because that's extensive. We've used, like, Boy Scouts have used the school building, okay? They have to provide, I'm just saying, giving you like an example. You know, the certificates of insurance usually is the only thing, there's a quick form, a simple form that they fill out. And the same thing, when they use us, they give us a certificate of insurance, naming the borough, naming the Board of Ed, the borough as additional insurance, right? So, like the bus, shuttle bus, different things like that, they've given us.
Thank you.
So I think just to clarify where we are at this point, just to bring it back in, a non-borough entity, non-quasi-borough entity, exclusive, not including the Board of Education. They require a permit. It's a $25 an hour fee, minimum of 3 hours, and at night, $50 an hour fee, minimum of 3 hours. I think that's where we are.
Okay. We could, I mean, either have that in the fee ordinance if we want, or I'll talk to Ron and just see how we're going to do that.
Yeah, put them all in one.
Okay. Works for me.
Right. Number 4, ECUA agreement. I would recommend that we take action on this at the regular meeting.
I agree.
Yes.
Commuter parking ordinance revisions.
Actually, I have to follow up with Ron. I think you have that, and we just have to, we have the chief's recommendations for the streets that we're taking off of that and the ones that we're leaving on, and Ron and I just have to finalize it.
Want that at the next meeting, you're saying, as well?
Can you finalize it for the next?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
For discussion or for introduction? I mean, what do you, I mean, I'd like to see...
No, just, it would be for introduction.
Yeah, I think we can introduce it. If there's comments, we can vote.
Yeah.
No, we haven't seen it. That's the only thing I had. Maybe some... I think, I'm suggesting to you, you may want to do it in your next work session, you know?
We can put it on the next agenda, no problem.
Right.
Okay, fine.
We'll get you copies, I mean, as soon as it's finished.
Recycling,
Just to bring up that these were already handed
it
out.
was distributed, it's on the website, the new calendar's on the website. What else was done? There's posting, public buildings. Hopefully everybody has gotten the message.
We have a backup plan.
Okay, good. I like a backup plan. Recycling is now on Wednesdays.
So put your cans out there.
So get your cans out. Tomorrow. Next week. All right, open the meeting to the public. Anybody from the public want to be heard? All right. Mr. Safer.
Jim Safer, 644 Wyoming Avenue. I hope after this presentation by the BCUA that there isn't any real opposition to providing them with a signed contract so they can get going on their effort.
Well, it's going to be on the agenda next month.
There's
next week, rather.
no other source of assistance for this problem. The town pays hundreds of thousands of dollars every year for this infiltration. And it's about time we took care of it. Also, I sense there's a little bit of concern about spending some money or giving up permit fees and what have you. We have to spend something to relieve us of this expensive burden. I would also point out that this year we paid an extra penalty for all of the rain and snow we had last year. It's entirely possible, because this is such a dry year, that our bill may go down next year. And if it does, I hope we spend some of the money we save to remediate this problem which has been going on for decades. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for all of your help and efforts in this too. Anybody else from the public?
Yes, I'm Kevin Tahasic, 738 Lincoln Avenue. I just have one or two questions regarding the dog park. Is there any further action by this mayor and council that's required, or are we simply waiting to award the contract and install the fence?
That's it.
That's it. So
We had some trouble getting quotes, frankly, and it's been taking a while to get the 3 quotes that were required.
Okay, and then the other issue, I understand now it's the quotes are in, or mostly
That's one I
in.
got today.
Great, and it should be a short period of time before we could actually open Memorial Park Dog Park. There has been some suggestion by this council this evening that in the meantime we just immediately close Toma Park. I believe as one of the users of the dog park that we've cooperated with every request of the mayor and council since it became an issue. We were asked to no longer use Maple. We don't use Maple. We're asked to park in the swimming pool parking lot. We park in the swimming pool parking lot. We're asked to greatly reduce the hours that we use the park. That is vigilantly adhered to. No one is in that park using it as a dog park on the weekends or after 5 p.m. I think it would be unconscionable, or at a minimum inappropriate, to just say, all right, until we get going, you can't use the park anymore. I just think that would be inappropriate.
I'm the individual that made that comment.
I understand.
And I think I clarified it after I said, okay, fine. We had something, I heard tonight, we're looking to get this done within a very reasonable period of time, of course, okay? I just want something. I was asking, when is the project going to be complete? When it's complete, let's say it, let's meet the target, and let's close the other place, okay? Fine. I'm not saying tonight. I came in here tonight with the attitude not knowing where this stood. Close the thing.
And you don't want it to be just an open-ended, lingering...
Okay, fine. I think that's a reasonable, from my perspective, a way to approach the problem at this point.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Keith Kazarin, 607 Oak Avenue. I've noticed all the new street signs going up along like Maywood Avenue, and my question is, what happened to the stars for the people that have died in the wars?
That was a project that was initiated, quite frankly, I think in 2007. I don't know what happened. You're talking about Mendez and things.
Yeah, and how far? Yeah.
So on county roads, though, right? They're not on municipal. Are they on municipal streets?
I'm not familiar with it, but I think that it has to do with the new regulations about street signs, and I don't think they're allowed to be on there. I think that we have very strict...
Are they replaced on every street?
No, it's only the county roads, as I understand it.
Besides entering the county roads,
yeah,
which I think Spencer Joseph White would probably be...
No, he wasn't a fallen.
No, that was a child.
Yeah, he was hit and run on.
Mendez
and Halcroft down at the lower end of Maywood Avenue, I've noticed.
Not Halcroft.
There's some off of Spring Valley and Broadway between
Yeah, it was along Spring Valley or something. Yeah. I just noticed Mendez, and now I notice also on the end of Maywood Avenue.
We haven't done anything within the borough. I'm pretty sure we have not done anything on any of our municipal sites.
Need to clarify whether or not we can have stars, and if not, maybe work with the VFW.
Paint the poles red, white, blue. I mean, it's something that should be. Yeah, a flag put on them or something should be done.
I'm pretty sure that...
For people who don't know, those stars represent individuals who were killed in Vietnam, correct?
No, people that died in all wars. Yeah, but some of them, I think some of them are named after World War I people.
Okay.
I believe the ones off of Spring Valley, I think they might be World War I.
I need to lose that history.
Yeah, it's just my question.
Thank you for bringing it up.
Okay, good. Thank you. Hi, good night.
See you again.
Okay, yeah, you too.
Anybody else? Okay, cool, good. Building the suspense.
Sorry. Okay. So the first thing I'd like to say...
Can you put your name on the record, please?
Linda Higley.
Thank you.
The first thing I'd like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, because I appreciate your taking the time to explain things to the public. I think it's important that you do that. You know, you talked about the e-ticketing, and you take some time to explain things. I know I've just been here the last 6 months, and I know that I don't know some of the things that you people are talking about, so it's nice to hear the dialogue. I appreciate it. I know that you've been going out to organizations, I think with Council President Fabre, like to the Golden Agers, explaining the budget or the impact on the budget. I know that some of the seniors don't understand that the assessments fell and the taxes are going to go up, and I know the feedback I've received was very positive that you were at that meeting. They appreciated that you were there. I was hoping, and I don't know how your budget process runs, I've only been involved in school board budgets, but do we get a budget presentation at this meeting that you're calling in May to explain the budget to the public, or is it just we take it from the Our Town and we're supposed to make our questions based on the budget that's published?
No, the budget has been introduced, it's available. The introduced copy is certainly available to the clerk's office.
You can have it.
You can absolutely get a copy.
Okay, so there is no like 1 hour thing that you set aside?
There will be a discussion about the budget when we adopt. Obviously, the CFO will be here, he's been here before.
So, for example, one of the things that's of interest to me is you indicated that there would be significant savings with regard to the new recycling, that there was an agreement in place with Hackensack, which again, I don't understand why we went out to bid last year if there was an agreement in place with Hackensack, but that's another council.
Last year, that's why.
Oh, okay, that's why they went out for bid, now we did it with Hackensack.
Correct.
Okay, but I would like to know, when you said significant savings, you're talking about significant savings in terms of manpower in the DPW?
Talking about a whole combination of things, salary, manpower.
Okay, so is that something that you could share with people? I'm not the only one, I think, that talks about that.
If you're looking for a number, we can get a number.
Well, I was hoping...
An estimated number with manpower, obviously.
Right.
Obviously, at the point that we were picking up recycling, we were sending the entire DPW force out the entire day.
Right.
With three trucks that were rolling
Right.
around. That's not happening anymore.
Well, I was hoping at some point before the budget is... Am I right? Is it the next meeting? Is the
The
budget?
next meeting, the budget is up for approval.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at the next meeting is also...
Public hearing.
Because
Obviously, you have questions.
I actually think that's going to be, it's going to be postponed, not the public hearing, but I think the adoption is postponed, so there'll probably be some more time for questions.
Okay, 'cause
The
if you-
CFO indicated that the state isn't ready to take.
Okay. Youth Month is
the
also...
adopted budget.
They don't want our budget.
There may be amendments to the budget, so that'll be
Okay.
discussed. The CFO will be here.
Okay.
Well,
And Youth Month is this as well, right?
Correct.
Okay.
this month is good.
I would appreciate seeing something like, I did an Oprah request, and the Oprah request in response, and it's not an indication or a reflection on anyone, in response to my Oprah request, what the total compensation packages were of, for example, the DPW, I was given 100 pages. And from that 100 pages, I was supposed to determine who the person was, what their current salary is, what their overtime is, what their benefits are, what their pension is.
Did you ask for that breakdown?
On the form, because this, when we get an Oprah request, anything to do with payroll, it's given to the person who prepares payroll. And on the forms that were given, stated the name, the department, the annual salary. And it has the department, it has the salary, I don't know what, and then you also the medical benefits and the overtime.
Right, I was
and so
supposed to
forth.
take the 100 pages and somehow put it in an Access or on an Excel sheet and figure it out myself. And you know what, I tried it, and I thought to myself, I don't understand why I should be doing this.
Well, no, the information that was requested was given.
Right.
It's not ridiculous, that's the
No, I don't think it's
information she
ridiculous
requested,
either.
that's what payroll provided her. But that's not,
But
Okay, let me get to the point.
We don't create.
Wait, before you
Oprah does
start
not
debating
create.
it.
We don't.
Can I get to the point? This is the point. I think it's important, when you discuss the department, if you don't have readily available to you what someone's total compensation package is, total compensation, not just salary, not overtime on this side, not health benefits down here, not pension here, but, for example, let's just take the superintendent. If he makes, I don't know, but if he makes $67,000 a year, and you can assume 25% or 30%, 33% is additional benefits, you need to know that that person or that position costs the borough over $100,000.
We definitely know that.
Okay, so can you show this?
Why do we need to know that? What are we getting at? I think everybody up here does know that.
We don't know.
Okay, so where is it that you're finding those numbers that I can get access to it?
You have the documents that we have.
You have it.
Okay, then I'll show you what I have.
We're not I'm going to respond, okay? I've been involved in this for a number of years. We've gone through this budget. Let me finish, okay? We've gone through this budget, and then we've had the Citizens Budget Committee, okay? A lot of time has been put into it, okay? Part of it is how do we save on manpower? We're not staffed to do the types of, really, I mean, to do everything that you want us to do, okay? We don't have an administrative assistant assisting, we don't have this, we don't have that. There is a limited number of people to do the tasks that are on the table, okay? We're looking to reduce those. I think this council has done it. I think we took some efforts in the previous councils to do this type of stuff. So you're asking for stuff that takes a lot of time, okay? We don't have people available to spend on some of these things.
I need to reiterate. I'm sorry, it's not a fishing expedition. Yeah.
Just let me just say one thing. Oprah requires, if you have a request for documents, you get the document. It does not compel the clerk to prepare a spreadsheet to, exactly how you want it, like with names, here's the column. She doesn't have to create that for Oprah. I don't think she has the time to create it.
Yeah.
But she is required to give you the documents, and that's what she did.
But the point is, we don't even get it.
I'm trying to find out, right, how do you, all right, let's go back, because you're taking offense to what I'm saying, and I'm not saying it that way. I don't want anyone, okay, I'm trying to figure out, how do you make a decision in terms of a department if you can't say eliminating A, B, and C will save the town this much?
We do know that. But
How?
we can, because we don't just wake up one minute, go into a meeting and say, okay, we're eliminating something and it's going to...
Okay, so then let's go back to what I said.
We do take those documents and we work on those documents.
So when you present the budget, could you tell us what that is? Today, this is what the DPW looks like. This is what the 18 positions look like. In 3 months, after we've risked the people because of the recycling, this is what it's going to look like. In 6 months, it's going to look like this, and in a year, it might look like that. I mean, I don't think that's a lot to ask. I mean, I understand there's a difference between private enterprise and the public sector, but I don't...
Do you understand we have a chief financial officer? Do you know how much we pay this borough for our chief financial officer? This is our chief financial officer now, okay? And I'm not sure what the latest number is. We pay him about, John Brown knows, he's probably paying about
$6,000.
How much?
See, I got that one. No benefits.
No benefits.
Yeah, fine, so we, and then that's how much we pay the guy, okay? We don't have, we're trying to downsize staff in terms of things that we do. You're asking for, you need a budget analyst. We all know up here when we're doing these things, the Citizen Budgets Committee knows it as well. Join that committee maybe next year. And then
that's what I was going to say.
Oh, they get involved, okay? Come to those meetings. Because we know there's a salary. Somebody makes $100,000 a year, and that's the salary. There's a factored salary, okay? That factored salary may be 135, okay, in Maywood. Maybe it's 132, roughly. So we know what we're doing up here, okay? You're asking for stuff that requires analysis and everything else. You've provided with the material. Do the work if you want to find it out. You can. You know this. You know it from the Board of Education. You've been involved in that. You can take a look through those materials and do it. Pick out a couple, and you have the numbers, okay?
Then let me go back to the Southern Presidency.
I believe, the CFO is here on Tuesday, I believe that you can make an appointment, and you can ask him directly those questions on Tuesday. You can make an appointment and point, you could actually get the exact, without the 100 pages to review, you get the exact answer.
The significant savings that you talked about is, I don't know how to phrase this without getting a reaction, but the significant savings that you talked about is a reduction in force by how many people?
There have been two.
So the original number was a debate. It was either 18 according to the borough clerk or 17 according to the superintendent. What was the original number?
What number are you talking about?
The number of DPW employees. When we had a discussion, when they were here during...
There are 12 DPW employees right now.
Okay, right. And the FEMA people are gone?
Yep.
Okay, so at the moment, there's 12. And from the 12, we're going to reduce 2 more?
No,
That's with the reduction?
That's with the current reduction.
Okay. Okay.
What?
I don't know.
What do you want from us?
No, I just want to know.
I'm not sure what you're asking. Then take the numbers and figure it out. Give you all the stuff.
Okay.
We're down to 12 DPW with the superintendent.
12 with the superintendent.
Correct.
And he has a supervisor.
He is the superintendent.
No, there's a superintendent position. Is there a supervisor
There
position?
is, Mr. Dion.
Okay. And is there a third supervisor position?
There is not right now.
Okay. So to the question, 3 months down the line, 6 months down the line, will that position be filled? Are you looking at reducing more?
I can tell you this. There's a lot of things we're looking at. It may be. It may not be. There's nothing definite here. There's nothing that's on an agenda for the next meeting.
Right. So when you talk about this, you have to talk about it in closed session, Because there's not any discussion out here.
Personnel. If there's personnel issues about terminating or hiring, they'll be brought to the public, certainly, when they can be brought to the public.
Okay. You know what, I'm going to think about it. At the next meeting, I'll ask the right question that doesn't get this response. I just want...
responded the way I did.
Right.
I don't know.
Well,
Don't
I'm
please
still
don't
trying
be
to...
offended.
No, you know what, it's anything I ask, and that's okay.
That's not true,
It's okay.
That's not true.
Come on, you know that.
Okay, let's go back then to the BCUA.
5 minutes, Mr. Mayor?
Is it my 5 minutes or your 5 minutes?
11 minutes.
Okay. So the BCUA, I am only going to say this from a selfish point of view. There's a manhole cover that's been broken in front of our property since 2007. So the first correspondence was with Mayor Lapin. It was brought up in November and December, and at that time, the borough administrator indicated that the funds would be in this year's budget. I'm hoping that this council takes what Mr. Richards says and gets the manhole fixed in front of the house. And if not, can we
Directly
be...
in front of your house?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Can be first on the list for when we do the agreement with the BCUA. And that's my 5 minutes.
What's the address again?
Gene will tell you.
Okay. It's in front of your house?
Right.
Well, I'll find it.
So is my 5 minutes up?
No, keep going. Keep going.
Okay. In terms of the dog park,
Actually, it is.
the Grove Avenue Dog Park, what happens to that dog park when Memorial comes?
When Memorial Park comes?
Yes,
The intention of the council is to turn it into a park.
To go back to a park? Okay, because I don't know whether or not you are aware of it, some of you are. It was brought to my attention that the Grove Avenue Park was created as the Eagle Scout project back when it was first developed.
Did you say Grove or Coaches? I'm sorry.
Grove.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm on Grove
Okay,
now.
I'm sorry.
Are you going to maintain the dog park on Grove as well?
I think for the time being, I don't think there's been a discussion.
There really hasn't, but I know last year there was some talk with insurance with having two
Okay,
dogs.
I just want, somebody brought to my, yeah.
So I don't think it would be, and it's not highly trafficked with dogs.
Right.
I don't think at this point it would, let me defer.
Actually, it was an Eagle Scout project when it became Centennial Park,
Right.
not when it was initiated as Grove
Right,
Park.
right.
Okay.
But from what this
Correct.
person said to me, it's the only barrier-free park in town. So I was,
I don't know about that, but...
Memorial Park has since, they renovated Memorial Park after that, and it was barrier-free.
this person said to me if I came to the meeting, if I could ask that the park be put back into its original position. It must be true.
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay.
13 minutes, 21 seconds.
Okay, I'll sit down. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Thank you.
All right, close to the public. Resignations. We have one resignation, Mr. Como, from effective May 2012. Entertain a motion to accept the resignation.
To accept.
Second.
Roll call.
Savage.
Yes.
Weissman.
Yes.
Oriema.
Yes.
Fabreg.
Yes.
Okay, we have a list of appointments here. Appointments on the agenda for Summer Recreation Program Counselors, Alyssa Damstrom, Daniel Marchesani, Allison Cole. Daniel Cerrone, Jimmy Jeffers, Gabriel Houliday, Eliza DiTomaso, Stephanie Engstrom, Alexander Vandola, Ryan Baker, Mary Kubler, Priscilla Asarim, Assistant Director Joseph Zigris, Pre-K Program Director Jessica Horns, Pre-K Program Linda McManus and Yvette Thank you. Matthew Golobeck, and Casey Lizell and Taylor Strohan. Tammy O'Connor as a member of the Cream Team. Number 3, employee appointments for the swim pool. Joseph Casamano as the full-time lifeguard head swim coach, full-time lifeguard assistant swim coach, Kerry Roskowinski, Samantha Sadek. Full-time lifeguard swim instructor, April Way, Corey Kozarin. Full-time lifeguards, Christopher Vanelli, Allison Pegg, Gabriel Redmond, Jacqueline Comier, Stephanie Grath, Jake Lindenau, Jennifer Antonetti, Catherine
Alcantara.
Thank you. Part-time lifeguard swim instructor, Teresa Miller. Part-time lifeguard, Samantha Antonella. Robert Farrell, Francesca Farrell, Hart Sivuk, Matthew Mooney, Alana Spenley, Nicholas Quinn, Christina Quinn, Jamie Sergeant Naha, Thomas Sanchez, and Andrew Kendall. Summer help for the DPW. Anybody care to make a motion on any appointments?
Move the appointments.
Second.
I have a question. Just, can I ask a question? Just a quick question. Did we determine that the DPW needs part-time someone?
That was the recommendation. They hire part-time every
Okay.
summer.
Which is, I guess, one less than he's had in the past, too.
Okay. Thank you.
Roll call.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Surratt?
Yes.
Okay, council approval, two items on the list. Maywood First Aid Squad, permission to attend Memorial Day parades in Saddlebrook on Sunday, May 27, 2012 at 1 p.m. and Rochelle Park on Monday, May 28, 2012 at 11 a.m. Number two, from the Maywood Rotary Kenya Project, request to use the Borough shuttle bus for transport to the JFK Airport, leaving on June 29, 2012, and returning on July 9, 2012.
Mr. Mayor, could I just say, I know that we've had some issues with the bus, and I'm just wondering if we can hold off on that until we get a better determination if it's reasonable for that bus to go to JFK without causing us...
But the other question was, aren't those weekdays when the bus is supposed to be servicing our senior citizens?
I do not believe that those are days that they are...
Well, June 29th is a Friday, because that's the day of our fireworks.
And summer camp days.
They're Fridays, they're both Fridays.
Fridays, yeah.
Okay.
But they are summer camp days.
But I am a little bit more concerned about the bus before we go ahead.
Well, there obviously is a problem with it. If you want to hold that one and hold it off, I would just suggest that the borough administrators do contact them and let them know that there are mechanical problems going on with the bus.
Yes.
And obviously, you know, it may not be available even if it were.
Right. I'd be happy to.
Okay.
I'll mention the
So
other.
we'll go back to number one then.
So then we'll pull this.
Pull number
Yeah.
two from these. Number one, anybody make a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Surratt?
Yes.
Resolution by title.
Resolution 7812, a resolution authorizing the granting of a street encroachment license for 130-A West Pleasant Avenue, Block 83, Lot 8, and the execution of an indemnity and hold harmless agreement therefore. Resolution 7912, resolution authorizing bidding of swim pool concessions for the year 2012.
Ready to make a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Surratt?
Yes.
Introduction of ordinance is none. Any new business? Any old business?
Mr. Mayor, if I just can clarify something I spoke of before. I did not mean to intimate that going to our CFO on Tuesdays would bypass any need for an Oprah request. If there is something that needs to be Oprah, obviously it has to be Oprah, but if there are any other questions that do not require an Oprah request, there would be the time to speak with him. I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
Okay, any old business, miscellaneous business? All right. We have a couple items for closed session.
Do.
Okay. You have the resolution? Okay, we will be going into closed session. It's not our intention to come back.
Be resolved by the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Act that the Mayor and Council meet in closed session to discuss the following subject matters pending litigation, which is subsection 7. Be further resolved that as precisely determined at this time, the discussion conducted in said closed session can be disclosed to the public upon taking of final action thereon, provided that disclosure shall not violate the attorney-client privilege or constitute undue invasion of privacy. To be further resolved, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Maywood do not envision they will return to open session as meeting, but reserves the right to do so.
Anybody make a motion to go into close?
Motion to go into close.
Roll.
Savage?
Yes.
Fleischman?
Yes.
Oriana?
Yes.
Surratt?
Yes.
Thank you.
Should we take a 5-minute?
Sure.
The re-elected Flores can just explode.
Well, 07, it's 5 years.
Get his money's worth of that?
Oh, God.